And we're back!
Well, no, now we're back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. I'm Spaztique the Spaztique.
And I'm Stevothehuman.
And we continue with Chapter 2 of Lost in Gensokyo. Oh, wait.
I thought the full name of your nom de plume was Spaztique Explosion, but okay.
It's explosive. You won't believe how many open mic night guys have gotten that wrong. They say, the Spaztique Explosion. And then they go up on stage and like, hello, I'm Spaztique Explosive.
No relation to Nathan, right?
Yes. Wait, what?
Metalocalypse.
Okay. I don't watch that show.
Okay.
I need to, though. I hear good things.
Anyway, are we starting this?
Yes, Chapter 2, New Life in Gensokyo.
Well, that obligatory Gappy Stu plot point got settled right in the title. Good writing, Rio.
I was a high school teenager, Rio started.
Ah, high school. Some people call it the best years of their life. Those people never went to college. Anyway, I think a better first sentence / chapter title would be, I was a teenage fantastic kidnap victim.
I was not from Japan.
I wouldn't be able to tell that if you were foreign if you kept your awesome badass name of Satrio Akbramanta. Oh! But you wanted to assimilate to glorious Japan.
Though I speak fluently.
Kid, you can't even speak English fluently. How do you expect me to believe that you are fluent in Japanese as well? You're telling me that your teenage character is fluent in 2, maybe even 3 languages. As a linguist, I can safely say, bullshit.
But I came from Indonesia, a country by the equator at the southeastern Asia in the outside world. How did I spirit it away from Indonesia to Gensokyo, which according to the situation is located in Japan, is unknown either by me.
Yukari, just Yukari.
And watch, the writer ends up pulling the rug out from all of us and tells us it's another yokai, as if this whole opening was just to lower our expectations.
I'm not so sure of that.
Okay, get ready for it, folks. I was in a school field trip, and it spends 3 days and 2 nights, and that's why I made my large bag stuffed with clothes and other things, including emergency tools and food.
3 days and 2 nights of clothes, toiletries, and food. Last I checked, that's not enough to turn a backpack into a solid block of lead.
We had 2 bags of grass, 75 pellets of mescaline, 5 sheets of high-powered blotter acid, a salt shaker full of cocaine, a whole galaxy of multicolored uppers, downers, screamers, and laughers. Also a quarter tequila, a quarter rum, case of beer, a pint of raw ether, and 2 dozen amyls. Not that you need that for the trip, but once you get locked into a serious drug collection, the tendency is to push it as far as you can. Suddenly a bunch of fairies and monsters started swimming around the car, and it's like, Jesus, what are these goddamn animals? One joke over the line, Gensokyo. Okay. Oh yeah, wasn't he on the street though?
Yeah.
He's on a field trip and now he's on the street.
He's on a field trip to the ghetto.
Plus it's like walking, but wait, it gets worse. The first destination was a mountain by the next province. Because the bus can't climb up the mountain.
I want to see a bus climb up a mountain. Okay, after this, after watching Spirited Away, notice how I'm practicing good continuity. Because earlier, I said I was going to watch Spirited Away after this. After Spirited Away, I'm going to find a YouTube video of a bus climbing a mountain. Hopefully it exists. Also, Racing goes to school by bus!
We climb it by walking by the side of the road. Well, after a few kilos, there's a gap suddenly open below us, and I'm sure it's not only me that spirited away to Gensokyo.
I can verify with all the other Gappy Stu fics I've read.
And I love how the Gappy Stu uses the term gap before knowing what it actually is.
Yo-ho-ho-ho.
Rio explained. Racing and Kane looks at Rio's eyes deeply as they're very interested with Rio's story.
Yukari is up to her trolling again. Nothing interesting to see here. Move along, people. You know, that's the first time I've heard that remark not sarcastically. I didn't expect myself to even say that.
If only it were this easy in real life. Just describe your story as interesting and people will automatically think it's interesting. If you said so, who's speaking? Okay. If you said so, could you at least guess how much other outsiders had drifted away here? Kane asked. As I recall, Rio remembering for seconds, there were two of my friends nearby that I could see. There's my teacher's car passing by, so let's call it 3 or 4 humans and a car, Rio said.
You and 2 friends and a teacher who was driving the car is 4 people. And this guy claims to be good at math. Spoilers, he does claim to be good at math.
Sorry, but what's a car? Rayson asked.
Who's a Lunarian and therefore knows a lot about advanced technology and therefore should know what a car is.
It's an auto-land transportation that moves with gasoline for its fuel, and it's 4-wheeled, Rio describing.
What's gasoline? What's a wheel? What does auto mean?
Rio then described all these things in full detail for 8 pages. Okay. Well, perhaps if somebody's seeing one, they'll report it or telling it to the people anyway, Kane said.
Even though she doesn't know what it looks like?
What?
Even though she doesn't know what it looks like?
Yes. It's already late. Rayson noticed that the sun is in halfway to set.
Oh no, not mid-afternoon!
Ran out of stuff to talk about, so I gotta change the scene. Sorry, Miss Kane, Rio-kun, I must go back to Ainte to prepare dinner, else Princess will go rage again.
And you won't like the princess when she's angry.
Rayson stand up and bowed afterwards. Oh yeah, sure. Thanks for escort before. ... Rayson ... Rio thanked her.
Shut the fuck up! Katie told Rio to shut the fuck up.
Well then, until next time, Rayson leaving the room. Wait, Rayson! Rio stopped before Rayson go outside. Yes, Rio-kun, Rayson answered while looking back. Rio can't make his words.
2 foreign languages and now an invented one? Come on, tone down the languages you don't know, kid.
Could you come by again tomorrow? I mean, it's fun to chat with you, and I want to know about you a little more, he asked with a little blush on his face.
And he blushed all kawaii and cried tears made out of gaps while Stomp sexing the sexy table, and it was sexy and hot and kawaii.
From our random small talk about Gensokyo, I feel we have a real emotional connection. Hearing Rio's request, Rayson's face turned red too. Sure. When I'm finished with house chores, perhaps I'll visit you, Rio-kun. But I can't promise the time since Ainte always busy, she answered.
Tacos!
And thanks for asking me that because I'm sort of ... wants to know you more too, she continued. I found out his special ability, the ability to manipulate moon rabbits into falling in love with him over bland talk about exposition.
Yawn.
By the time Rayson looked at Rio's face, their eyes met. It feels like time just stopped, and their heart skips beats at that moment.
Fuck already!
As a prude, I'd like to say, I agree! Kane coughed from the living room. Well, thank you then. See you tomorrow if you can. Rio gives a farewell. Okay, see you tomorrow. Rio walked back into the living room with some sort of unamused face when he noticed Kane smiling.
Rio knows he's gonna get caved.
Well, it's your...
Unnecessary comma.
I think he meant an ellipses or a dash. Roughly first day in Gensokyo, and you've fallen in love. And you've just fallen in love, don't you? My, teenagers.
Live impulsively and make ungodly stupid decisions.
Again, Rayson is at least 40. I think I mentioned this before, didn't I?
Yeah, you have.
Okay. Kane comments with a slight joking tone. Rio wants to yell, but holds it.
He was about to yell, I am Gaps! And then he becomes a literal black hole stew.
Or, I'm 20, yet still in high school. Now then, Rio. We could have a serious talk now. Kane's expression and tone.
Which I won't describe. You all know that there's supposed to be a verb somewhere around there, so I don't need to include it.
When a Touhou and a Stu love each other very much... Okay. Ryo sat on the floor again. I'm listening, he said. Okay, first, now you are one of the citizens of Gensokyo.
You have no choice in the matter. You are assimilated. We are the Borg.
Of course, no matter how hard you want to go outside, you still need to have a place to live, food to eat, and other needs. So, okay. As place to live, I am willing to lend you the guest room in this house. So, starting from today until you can get your own settlement, Kawashirasawa House is your home.
A plot point which will not be addressed again. He pretty much lives at the Kamishirasawa house now.
She explained. Food and supplies is also in my charge of it, so basically you're a freeloader here. But I'm not letting you to be a pure freeloader. Even here in Gensokyo, nothing is free.
You're a freeloader, but you're not a freeloader because you're a freeloader, but you use Stewness to support yourself financially.
She continued. So, you want me to pay you? Ryo asked. Well, no. I'm not putting you in any charge, but I want you to... Oh, I'm not putting you in any charge, but I want you, for the time being, to be part of Gensokyo, or at least the village civilization, she continues.
While slipping off her dress and exposing her impressively sized bosom. Damn it, why do I keep thinking this is going to be sexually explicit at a moment's notice?
Actually, what's his name? The famous, I think, Umberto Eco came up with an essay saying that for porn movies, there has to be that air of normalcy before they get down to business. So they will fill the story with hundreds and hundreds of scenes of the characters checking mail, driving in their cars, talking to receptionists, and so on and so forth.
Okay, Mr. Expert on Porn.
No, this guy's like a, what are they called? Semantics or something like that. It's Umberto Eco. He's like a famous writer dude.
Oh, okay.
It's like linguistic theory. Okay.
Oh, so he's a linguist. Crap, why don't I know him?
Oh, so, no, semiotics, that's it. He's a semiotics expert.
Oh, alright.
That means you need to find a job. You're roughly 16 to 17, right? Well, in this village, those aged up to 15 up is applied to do various jobs in village according to their specialty, which we'll discuss later.
'Cause getting a job can wait.
But first, exposition and or random, quote, adventures, unquote. And also, you need to officially register yourself as a villager here.
Wait, what?
Instant replay. Also, you need to officially register yourself as a villager here.
What?
You did not mishear that.
This is a pre-industrialized, isolated, small Japanese village. There is zero need to register as a villager. People just know you. There's no need for paperwork when paper is really freaking expensive and people can just know you by face. Again, learn what it's like in a small town, you damn city slicker.
There are your papers, citizen. Words you should never, ever write or hear in any Touhou fanfic. Laws here, perhaps, are not greater than the laws in the outside world, but still, she explained. Okay, so I need to register myself as a villager here and find a job, Ryo cleared.
In case you didn't catch all that and you're fit of rage from my lack of doing research, reader.
Yes, as for your education, perhaps you'll not needing it since school in village is way back, Kane stated.
And she knows about education in the outside. How?
Especially after telling her that she doesn't know about handshakes.
Oh, that's a handshake. I'm unfamiliar with those.
Once again, a reminder that Kane is a history teacher, not an I have to remind you that Kane is a history teacher, not an omnidisciplinary teacher. And even still, her classes concern Gensokyo's history, and they are sparsely attended. Well, next week is a long-term holiday, so I think it's fine, Ryo said.
In Indonesia, it's a long-term holiday, but this is Gensokyo. Yokai are gonna want your tasty human ass 24/7, 365 and a quarter.
Very well then, tomorrow I'll accompany to the village hall to register. Then for your jobs, actually there's a pile of job vacancy by the village hall, so you can choose yourself tomorrow, Kane explained.
Wait, what? The economy of Gensokyo is in such dire need for work that just about any schmuck can walk on down and get a job that easily. Really? Oh, no wonder it's sealed off with a preternatural border. It had an immigration problem from all the open jobs.
Damn Gappy's taking our jobs! They took your jobs! Okay, I understand, Rio replied with a small nod. Good, now let's eat dinner. Kane stands up and walks towards the kitchen. Okay, folks, a Japanese house is very different in design from a westernized home. And the kitchen is a huge difference, especially if it's mimicking early 1800s Japan, which is essentially just a large stove, various mixing pots, and a bunch of preparatory tools. With this in mind, hear the next sentence. Kane takes out the pan and starts cooking, while Rio is going back to his room, at least for now. So I take it Gensokyo has adapted to modern kitchens, or is it just a Western-style house? Either way, I'm going to be on the lookout for this kitchen later in the story, especially if there's a dining room.
Well, I think Ryo's off to masturbate furiously to the casual conversation with Raisin while Kane cooks shit with modern technology she got from God knows where.
He stares at his large bag. Perhaps I should unpack these, he said to himself. Again, I have to speak my thoughts out loud so the readers can hear me. So he opens the bag zipper, unveils tons of outside world stuff. He takes out his clothes and group it and then store it inside the empty drawer. He takes out miscellaneous stuff such as a small notebook, mangas. It's just like one of my Japanese animes. And his field trip guidebook. He then takes out a digital camera. Perhaps I could use this. I'm in a foreign place anyway. He puts the camera and a few extra batteries of it on the drawer. Then I got some in my throat. Okay. Then in the side pocket, he takes out his cell phone. Like I could use this, but it's fine for listening musics, he says, not even attempting to make a call to the outside world. Imagine, Gensokyo is, just right next to a cell tower.
Also, I think he just retconned it into a straight-up smartphone.
Yes. He takes out the cell phone and headset, and he just remembered he has portable charger that will last a few days, just in case.
Get that, guys? 3 days of clothes, a digital camera, a few books, and a charger are enough for a moon rabbit to call it heavy. Either moon rabbits are pussies, or that's a whole freaking lot of manga.
And good luck trying to find a place to plug that charger in. And watch, he stumbles into a random socket just sticking out of the ground in the middle of a field.
In the middle of a field!
Why, hello there, Mr. Socket. How are you doing today? Okay. He finishes unpacking his bag. He stares to his temporary new home. Well, now I'll just make myself comfortable.
Yeah, what? Right.
Huh?
His new temporary room. Temporary my ass.
Yeah. Oh, Mini Witch 3 said he plugs it into a tree. It's made of magic, so it works. Okay. Just make myself comfortable here, he whims. The word said has only been used 12 times so far through the countless lines of dialogue. From the window, he could see the village's nightlife. Bam, 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 bam. No. It's not as bright as the cities, but
wait, what?
What?
What? What's that song you just started bowing?
Just for just dance music.
Oh.
The nightlife, you can see girls running by and...
Okay, keep going.
It's not as bright as the cities, but he can still see faint glowing lights from the buildings and the streets.
Oh, there's Wriggle, out with her fireflies and such. Now, where did Mistia go?
Rio-kun, dinner's ready, Kane shouts from downstairs. Okay, coming, Rio replied. Remembering now he's as good as home, he takes his jacket off and puts it on hanger by the drawer. Then he walks downstairs. He sure has taken this being stuck in another world thing with surprising ease. The kitchen smells very good of freshly cooked food.
Kane's serving Soylent Green tonight.
Can't help but keep making my smelling senses feel good, Rio said as he entered the kitchen.
My smelling sense is tingling.
It's just an ordinary household cooking. You haven't smells those on the village shops, Kane replies with a small laugh.
All the village's markets' food smells like this dildos.
That's another metal. Rio sits on the chair.
Yes, that's another Metalocalypse reference.
Okay. Again, a chair in a Japanese house. Most of the tables and anything's on the floor. Then Kane serves a plate of fried sliced meat with soy sauce that makes the meat's color brownish.
Not soy sauce, but a soy sauce, like soy sauce, except it kinda isn't soy sauce.
I've seen this food before. It's called yaki. Rio trying to guess the food. Yakiniku, made from the fresh beef and other ingredients. Kane tells Rio as she gives Rio his chopsticks.
Made with the freshest ingredients, here at Ratatouille.
This is less somebody being lost in Gensokyo and more like a poorly written travelogue. Anthony Bourdain, no reservations, Gensokyo! Rio eats the first bite. Okay, call me overreacted, but this is very good, he comments as he swallows the beef.
I don't know why the term swallow the beef is so funny. Oh well.
I think it's also the fact he's speaking while swallowing the beef.
How does he do that?
Magic. He's a ventriloquist.
Sue powers. Anyway. But this is the part of the fic where it should go when Harry met Sally on us. I'm imagining this guy saying it with a stoic expression and smarmy tone of voice. Okay, call me overreacted, but this is very good.
Okay, now this is starting to feel like more like Birdemic than when Harry met Sally.
We're all like, hey, you won the prize! Oh my god! Sorry, I had to quote that.
So you're a moon rabbit, yes? And a very beautiful one at that. Okay. Thanks, but it's my ordinary cooking, Kane smiled and eats her portion. For a few moments later, they finished. Thank you for the food, Miss Kane. Rio thanked Kane as she taken the plate to the dishwasher sink, traditional sink to be precise.
So what is a traditional sink like?
Assuming he really means an electric dishwasher, what is that thing hooked up to?
A hole in the ground in the middle of a field or a tree.
I'm going with the tree. Now then, let's continue our conversation. Kane sits in front of Rio with a serious tone.
They could have had the conversation while eating dinner. Table conversations are a great place for exposition, and even some tension buildup between rival characters having to share a roof.
But this is a checklist story. It's rather than let the story flow, everything needs to happen like a checklist. Get Gensokyo, check. Meet Racing, check. Fall in love, check. Place to stay, check. Dinner, check. Conversation about where he needs to work, almost check.
The thing is, I don't know why he can't get the characters to eat and talk.
They're not the same item on the checklist.
Okay. Sorry, but it's just breaking my suspension of disbelief that bad. I mean, it's... I feel like I can't have a movie that depicts people having a meal together and have it be silent. There's got to be talking going on.
Stevo, the only way for us to do this story is to have only one action item per check mark. Now, if we were to put have dinner and talk about work, then this story wouldn't work because they're two action items on the same checkpoint.
Alright.
Did you get the memo?
No, I didn't get the memo.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to come in on Sunday, okay?
Okay. Let's move on. But first of all, are you sure you want to stay in Gensokyo? Usually people keep bugging he wants to get back home, but you're so easily says you'll stay here, Kane asked.
Last I checked, most teenage boys see all the ladies and magic and want to stay forever.
Last I checked, he doesn't really have a choice at the moment, and he didn't really express his desire to stay that much. Well, Rio scratches his cheek. To be honest, I'm living by myself all the time. My parents live in a different city, and that's parents with an apostrophe. So I'm pretty bored with my life out there. I don't have much friends to be missed. Also, I do really want things like this happen to me. He answered with a smile.
Forever alone.
Smiling at a depressing story, either he's psycho or the writer is attempting to be sentimental. Let's see how she reacts to this news. Weird enough. Okay, aside from that, you need a job here. Either it's part-time or full-time, Kane continues.
This is a pre-industrialized woman using lingo like part-time or full-time. Pre-industrialized.
And also, she's being extremely cold considering the fact he just mentioned he has nobody in the outside world. And let's see how he reacts to this after this. Okay. Well, what's your specialty? Actually, there's a thing that will be expected from an outsider like you, and it's knowledge of the outside world, civilization, and technology, Kane explains. Finally, now some canon stuff. Now let's see how quickly it takes the writer to mess this up. I'm a science person myself. I'm very good, especially at mathematics, science, subject biology, chemistry, well, maybe not very good at physics. I'm also studying a little bit about sociology and crime psychology, Rio answered. You could say I'm a common smart kid.
Oh, so he's a smart kid, some kind of wonderkind or something. Yeah, you're so perfect, it's as if there's nothing to worry about you, and therefore I can't care about your little story.
Also, science, that'll come in real handy in Gensokyo. Just ask Sanae. Kane rubs her chin. We study biology here. As for chemistry, it's more like an alchemy here.
The border being closed at about the 1800s, they'd know what chemistry is.
As for physics, we don't do so much as perhaps you could use your physics knowledge to work here, Kane said.
Newton predates the border closing by a couple centuries. They know about physics. Not to mention the Kappas and Lunarians, who are more technologically advanced than even modern humans, and the Moria Shrine in Touhou, who know how to handle nuclear energy. And wouldn't knowledge of physics be hindered in this world full of supernatural and metaphysical phenomena?
It only took a few sentences to mess up a...
Are you okay there?
Yeah. And it only took a few sentences to mess up that canon fact. Residents of Gensokyo are more interested in how cell phones, music players, and headphones work, and they especially want to hear the answers from the Gappies. Like, they'll ask outsiders canonly, okay, how does this cell phone work? And the outsiders will be like, I don't know, I just use the thing. But besides from your specialty, do you have any hobbies? That could be of a job reference, too. Kane asked. Well, let's see, I'm fond of books. In fact, I'm writing a cheap novel.
This one?
What?
This one?
Which will more than likely be published to a vanity press. Journalistic? Blogs don't count as journalism, kid. Photography? MySpace, Facebook, whatever photos don't count either. And I'm a painter myself, too. Which will come in real handy in Gensokyo, Rio replied.
In grammatical English, please?
Well, sometimes I'm a consultant, too, for problems.
And with that, we have the plethora of special abilities the Gappy Stu has. Please note how most of these are completely irrelevant to the story, now and in the future. We just have a ham-fisted author thinking that a character who's so good at so many things without showing him do any of these things, no less, instantly makes him likable.
Conservation of detail means only including the things that are vital to the story. If your character is a painter and the story never calls for the character to paint, you don't need to mention that fact. Rather, you keep this kind of stuff in the character's personal bio, the bio you never show anyone except as a bonus or for structural reasons. You may feel compelled to tell people within the story, but this is just bad writing discipline. And fun fact, I'll actually publish my outlines and stuff whenever I post stories.
Yay.
Okay. But I don't post them within the story itself. Well, if so, there's quite a much job you could do, or even start yourself, Kane said with a light tone.
Yes, he's so good at so much, we don't know where to put him.
Everywhere, of course, he could solve everything in Gensokyo as a painter. Now, let's go to bed. Tomorrow's gonna be quite a long day, Kane stands up. Okay, Rio follows Kane, walks out of the kitchen. My room is on the first floor. Yours is upstairs. The futon is the lowest drawer, okay? Kane explains. Got it. Oh, yeah, how about the bathroom? Rio asks from the half of the stairs. Right below you, Kane pointed to the door below the stairs. Okay, thank you. Good night, Miss Kane. Ryo climbs the stairs. Good night, Ryo-kun. Switching on horrifics again. Kane replies as she entered her room.
And now we have the architecture of the Kamishiwa-sawa residence. Wait a minute, why is the bathroom in a basement and not in an outhouse?
It's a postmodern traditional Japanese house. This is the trendy part of Gensokyo.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Ryo enters his room, changes his uniform into a boxer shorts and simple t-shirt.
This technologically advanced character can transform his clothes for whatever the situation deems needed, as if it were pure magic!
He draws out the futon and lies it. Well, here it goes, Ryo, he muttered. An unordinary life will starts tomorrow. An unordinary everyday life will starts tomorrow. As he shuts the candle, taking off his glasses, and fell asleep.
Any more wanton destruction of the English language, and I'll have to retreat to Spanish to keep my height intact. And my sanity, too. Do not take that last paragraph literally, or you'll have quite the mindfuck ways. Also, one abrupt non-transition later...
A loud music played from Ryo's cell phone. Arg, already? Ryo tries to grab the phone and turn alarm clock off. Fuck!
Fuck! Yeah, that's out of place. I'm no prude when it comes to swearing. In fact, I believe that there are very appropriate and even necessary times for profanity, as you can read throughout my riff. Your character is a goody two-shoes prim and proper whiz kid. You should not be dropping an F-bomb first thing in the morning. That's out of character. And boy, you better preserve all the personality your character can get.
There's a difference between mature, as in well-mannered and adult-like, and, quote, mature, unquote, which is gratuitous fucking cursing because fucking adults fucking curse and fucking shit.
Shit like that, bitch. Well, anyway, to elaborate, let me give you an idea on the weight of the word fuck from someone who doesn't use it as a borrowed word and has to be careful when he says it. You might know that the word fuck literally means to have sex. But fucking tends not to refer to just any kind of sex. More like loud, rough, disgusting, loveless, animal, borderline rape. Hell, it sometimes refers to actual rape. But anyway, here's an example of fuck being used properly.
Warning, the following language in this next sentence may be insensitive to some people's ears. Viewer discretion is advised.
Or like everyone. Those kikes at the Volva library are fucking me up the ass with these late fees, Reimu screamed. Marisa finished loudly slurping her tea and put the cup down on the table. That's why I steal from them, Zeh, she said. As you can see, fuck should not be in Clean Little Rio's lexicon. He should say fuck whenever he sees a nuclear warhead about to land right on his Gulliver, not when he's waking up bright and early to a wonderful day.
He pulls the futon over his face. So he just pulled the entire mattress over his face.
Yes.
When he starts to fall asleep again, someone knocks on his door. Ryo-kun, wake up! Kane shouts from the outside. Oh, okay. Ryo set up a lazy tone. Just a minute. He wears his glasses, takes his uniform, and walks out of the room. He walks downstairs, finds Kane in her sleeping clothes.
Or her kimono. It's pretty hard to tell in ye olde Japan.
It's just like one of my Japanese animes! Morning, Miss Kane. Yawn, he greets Kane. Morning, Ryo-kun. I'll get the breakfast. You may use the bathroom first. Kane walks to the kitchen. I don't mind my portion. I'm not used to eat rice for breakfast, Ryo tells Kane while walking into the bathroom. Suit yourself, then.
Do I want to know about this guy using the bathroom? You know, we could just skip the part of the story where he does his business. Really isn't necessary information.
You're one to talk, bringing up Raisin's revenge.
Hey, but that's an in-joke.
The bathroom is a traditional one. Bamboo tub and a fireplace heater.
But no stall.
Lucky I've had a mirror, Ryo said to himself as he didn't see any mirror inside it. He takes a short cleansing, just rubbing his upper body with a wet towel. He washes his face, cleans his hair without shampoo, and brushes his teeth. Well, good as new.
Notice how he pays no attention to freshening up his lower body. You're not gonna win over any moon rabbits with an unwashed taint, kid.
This fic runs on cartoon logic. Can't have anything too dirty, except for one gratuitous use of the word fuck. It's like one of those, what are those guys that make the rip-off cartoons or like the 2D version of Video
Dingo
Widow?
Pictures?
What?
Dingo Pictures?
Dingo
Mouse
Pictures,
Police,
yes.
And the fat mouse goes, smart ass.
Okay. He walks back to his room while he smells an aroma of fresh miso soup. In his room, he opens the front pocket, taking a pack of cheese bread and a carton of milk. Yes, he stores plenty of instant canned food too, though he probably didn't need it.
What's cheese bread? I'm an experimental chef, and I'm from the Midwest, and I'm white, and not even I know what cheese bread is. Please explain this thing I don't know the way you gave the Touhou Canon 101 lecture last chapter.
No! He walks back into the kitchen, finds Kane in the middle of eating her breakfast. What do you got for breakfast, Ryo-kun? She asked. Cheese bread. Ryo shows a pack of bread. And chocolate milk. He raised his other hand.
I can't imagine something called cheese bread and chocolate milk tasting good together.
Well, don't you know, Stevo? They taste perfectly good together.
Okay.
You act like you never heard of cheese bread before.
I haven't.
Well, enjoy yourself, since we Japanese aren't good with Western dairy products such as cheese. By the way, how did they make chocolate milk, Kane asked.
Or a more appropriate response, what the devil is cheese bread?
Simply just mix hot cocoa with milk. I'm not talking about the cheese bread, I'm talking about the chocolate milk.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
it'll not be very good taste since it's simple recipe. The good one's complicated, Ryo answered.
Gappy Stu trait number 54736. Schooling the werecow about milk.
Bad writer trait number 108472. Character explaining that they're from a culture that does not share the views of the general audience for the sole purpose of explaining that they are different from the general audience. They finished their breakfast sooner. Get ready, Ryo-kun. We'll go to the village hall shortly before it's too crowded, Kane said. Any time, Ryo answered as he put on his jacket. I'm going to change now. Kane enters her room, closes the door, and suddenly opens again. No peeking, she warned. Ryo stared awkwardly at the door. As if I'll do it, my landlady, he whims.
Okay, Wilhelm just sent me something, and he said cheese bread is bread with cheese inside of it. Okay, then. Thanks, Bill. So, anyway, on to my actual note. You know, I'm loyal to my one true love, worshipful sister Racing Udongori, Shaniqua Banana Fan, a sex machine, Squeegee, and Abba de la Luna the Third, PhD.
Kane gets out of her room with her daily blue dress. Let's go, she said to Ryo while wearing her outside slipper while Ryo wears his sneakers.
Business suit and sneakers? Is Ryo suddenly Ben Stein?
Or Father Grigori. They get out of Kane's house and walks down the street. Is the village far? Ryo asked. It's just barely 15 minutes from here, Kane answered. Hey kids, it's a let's walk to the next scene. Let's just walk along with absolutely nothing happening while describing the scene with either purple or beige prose, accomplishing nothing narratively. Yay!
Yay!
Along the trip, Ryo learns about the neighborhood of Brown Kane's house, since he'll stay there for a while and he'd need to know the closest facilities around.
And Stevothehuman and Spaztique lodged a caption at this part of the fic, because they're riffing it. They were making an MST3K style parody of this work while reading this, because if they don't laugh at it, they'll cry.
Spaztique is breathing oxygen with his lungs.
No way, with your lungs.
Who'd have thunk? There's a convenience store just across the street, a sake shop just a few houses from Kane's house, and a paper and stationery shop not far. Convenience stores didn't exist until, like, the 50s or 60s, right? Or, no, the 30s, or, well, like the 5 and 10 cent stores. Like, I know were around Napoleon Hill's time.
Well, I know, dime stores were in the Wild West.
Okay. But not the Japanese Wild West, because that's Japan.
Yeah.
Okay. A few minutes later, they arrived in the market district. They take the way to the village square. Since it's early in the morning, it's not very crowded. Ryo is able to see the shops more clearly. Few of them is not open yet, though, except few restaurants and groceries. Again, why are there grocery stores in rural Japan? Come to think of it, even though this is a village and they say it's a small one, it's quite large, and as large as a small town. Perhaps because the Gensokyo's human civilization is centered here.
Or perhaps because the author is using a more broad interpretation of Gensokyo to make the story more interesting. You know, because danmaku battles that cause countless amounts in property damage and hospital bills don't sate the excitement needed for this fic with mostly small talk.
Now, normal fics are okay if normal life, as paradoxical as this may sound, is interesting. Like if you have a character just living in Gensokyo, but they're not doing any fights, but the thing they're not doing is more interesting than the fights, you can get away with that. But that isn't the case here.
Of course not.
Before Ryo knows it, they've already arrived at the village square. It's a large field with a fountain in the middle of it. At the fountain stands a big yin-yang orb. Across the fountain, there's a bench for people to sat on. The buildings around the square is bigger than the building he saw before. There's the largest white building with a white tower. There is written, Village Hall and Council.
Remember, this is a village. It's got everything a village has and more, except for the freaking fountain and tall buildings. Since when were there artificial fountains in Gensokyo? This is making my head hurt. Village. Village.
Artificial fountains are more characteristic of Western civilization. Where are the statues of the mythical creatures, preferably dragons and Japanese-type creatures? Hell, Touhou should get you interested in looking these things up. In fact, Joseph Campbell actually studied, quite a lot about the Japanese and, Eastern civilizations. They have more along those kind of statues as opposed to this Greek-looking forum they have here.
Wait, and this guy is Indonesian.
I know.
What?
But he's making it look like freaking, J.R., Tolkien kind of moving on. Well, this is the village square. There's the village hall, as you can see. Kane pointed at the white building. And there, you can do the village businesses, as registration, job vacancies, birth and death, and others, she explained.
Again, pre-industrialized Japan. Small village. This is not one of these.
And she says there's birth and death in here. You can be reborn and die in here for some reason.
Well, this is Gensokyo.
Then she pointed at the building besides the hall. There's the village defense force. They take care of the village's security from threats from both humans and yokai.
Wait, village defense force?
I think it existed ever since they forgot Reimu existed. And by they, I meant the writer. Wait, yokai? Ryo asked. Well, the Department of Yokai Threats only contain peoples that able to use their powers properly, Kane explained. And there's a city library run by the Hieda family.
Hieda library? No Voil?
Well, I might hand it to him here. In canon, nobody is allowed access into that library. It's only for Scarlet Devil Mansion peeps only.
Alright.
She pointed at the large building by the left. Hieda family, Ryo asked. It's a long story to explain. I'll explain later, even though you're explaining all these long stories now. Now that we're arrived at the village hall, let's register yourself. She pulled Ryo into the village hall.
Register yourself? Village hall? Village fucking hall? Registering yourself? Why does all this exist? It makes me re-ask the problem of evil. It's so mind fucking stupid. I completely forgot Touhou canon for a moment. These are so mind-boggling, unlike anything Gensokyo I've ever heard of.
It's official. This is a dystopia fic. Friend computer approves.
Okay. After a few minutes of recollecting myself, I decided to make an albeit incomplete list of Touhou canon characters that last paragraph rendered obsolete. Reimu Hakure, Marisa Kirisame, Patchouli Knowledge, Koakuma, Shikieki Yamasanadu, and more. You're throwing the canon into a VD-infested Malebole with all this stuff that isn't actually in the human village or Gensokyo, period. You know, I'm fine with alternate Gensokyos. You know, I like to read a fic where Gensokyo is a theocratic dictatorship, Reimu being the Empress Goddess ruling with an iron fist, or a Gensokyo where spell card rules are replaced with chess matches. I'm having a nagging suspicion that the author believes this is canon. This is not canon. This is shit pulled from anyone's ass but Zune's, and I'm not gonna take this lying down. You just don't do this. It's messed up.
The village hall's interior is very similar to a city hall back in the outside world.
I'm starting to think this guy's never been to a village.
Or even heard of Japan, thinking it's a fictional place and the actual country is just a giant alternate reality game.
You know, I feel like he's taking the definition of a village and warping it into something he's used to.
Like suburbia. Or new urbanism. Here,
Sure, why
let's go. Kane takes Ryo to a door by the west hallway. Inside the door is a small office. Only a middle-aged man is sitting on his desk. Excuse me, Kane mentioned the man of their presence. Wait, oh, Miss Kawashiro-sama. No, Kamishiro-sama. I keep saying, I'm confusing Nitori and Kane. Okay. It's unusual for you to go to this office, the man replied.
Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? I know the only person who can answer my question immediately right now is Spaztique, but I still need to point out that this guy came from freaking nowhere, along with the Village Defense Force, and the Fountain, and the bureaucracy, and the job application, and all that other crap not in the actual Gensokyo.
Again, my only explanation is that this guy, the writer, thinks Japan is fictional. Well, as I told you 2 days ago, I have an outsider with me to register. Kane pulls Ryo into the room.
Wait, didn't you only know about this guy since yesterday? Ryo, as much as you claim to be one, you aren't exactly a math whiz.
She foretold of this. Bum, bum, bum.
She prophesied. Even though she's not a prophet. Or maybe
hi.
she's using her bad history teacher skills to predict it.
Okay, now that kind of makes sense in a backwards way.
It's backwards, how appropriate. Anyway.
Hi, Ryo greeted the man. Don't be so stiff. I'm pretty much an easy person. Now, why don't you sit here? The man said with a small laugh.
Since when was nervousness stiff? Spaz, I'll give you permission to quote that litmus test you love so much.
Okay, question. Do you know what this word means? If the answer is no, you do not know what this word means. Use that litmus test whenever you're writing a fic and you don't know what the word means, but you still want to use it anyway, because you think it'd be cool. Ryo sat on the chair in front of the man. Now then, my name is Nakamura Yoshiki. Just call me Yoshiki. Then you are? Yoshiki introduced himself.
And we have another original character. You know, the appeal of reading fanfiction is reading about non-canon misadventures of characters we've grown to know and love. Or, for the more sane ones. Not in the sense this guy loves racing, but y'all should know what I mean. From a franchise. I have no idea why writers like this guy think we care about this faceless asshat. I want my flying lolies in their danmaku, damn it!
Perhaps it's like the movie version of Starship Troopers, where the writers wanted to make an original Bug War movie, but so many people said it was so similar to the Heinlein novel that they changed the names of everything, and then everyone started complaining that it's nothing like the source material. Except Starship Troopers the movie was actually pretty good in its own campy way. And this isn't. Sakakibara Ryochi, Ryo tells Yoshiki his name. Okay, Sakakibara-san, if you want to be this village's villager, then you must fill out this form. Yoshiki takes out a parchment, bottle of ink, and its brush. The form is mostly kanji and less hiragana.
I keep asking, but I know I won't get a good answer. What are government files doing against Gensokyo? What are secular governments doing against Gensokyo? Who's this asshole? Who's this other asshole? What asshole would think that this would be interesting and to be a Touhou fan?
The writer is the asshole who thinks this would be interesting.
Okay.
Ryo is not very fond of kanji, just guessing by the arrangements. Name he wrote in katakana, age 1 and 7 separated by kanji, which is of course wrong, and the other information by asking Kane and Yoshiki.
Oh, snap! This guy has trouble writing in Japanese? Wait a minute, earlier in this fic he boasted that he was fluent in it. He was either lying or I spotted another plot hole.
When he done, Yoshiki stares at the parchment in a strange look. 1 and 7? Do you mean 17 by any chance? He asked.
Amazing deduction skills!
Yes, Ryo answered with a embarrassed tone. And why is your name written in katakana? Don't you have any kanji spelling in your name? Yoshiki asked again.
Because he's not from the village.
Yeah, technically if you are an outsider, you have to write your name in katakana. I'm not a Japanese myself, so if there's any explanation in my name, Ryo is my real name, and Ichi is because I'm the first son. And Sakakibara is the family name of a certain character in a manga. Keep this in mind for later, folks. Ryo explains.
I think the locals would be able to tell that Ryo wasn't Japanese just from the way he talked. Or from his appearance. Well, maybe they're right. All Asians do look the same.
Well, katakana or hiragana names are very rarely used.
And I fulfilled my casual racism quota for today. Alright. And they're more common in females and foreigners, so Yoshiki would be laughing at your Japanese equivalent to Sue, you girly guy, Gene.
So if you could, maybe you could find a kanji meaning of your name, tells Yoshiki. I'm not very fond of kanji myself, Ryo replied.
Kanji murdered my parents.
I've got an idea, Kane said. How about this? Sakaki as in sacred tree and Bara as in field, which is also the name of a certain really heavy yaoi subgenre. She suggested.
Bara?
Yep.
Oh, wonderful. I gotta tell Kay about that.
Well, basically two really muscular men doing adult things.
I don't think she'd be interested in that.
Okay. So Sakakibara means sacred. So Sakakibara means sacred tree field. Ryo asked. I'm just suggesting, and Ryo as in good kanji. She continued. Then Gappy Stu means one good sacred tree fill. That's kinda. Ryo scratched his head.
I like how you freaking didn't want to pronounce Sakakibara Ryoichi. But okay. Uncannily fitting? You know, I once tried to piece together kanji for the characters me, ka, go out of a really raunchy bilingual pun, and I came out with eye fire protection. I think it came out well, but that honestly sounds like a jumbled mess of words instead of something with actual meaning. You should have stayed with Satrio motherfucking Akramata, bitches! Also, Spaz, check if his kanji is actually correct.
It actually is, but he openly admits to stealing the last name from a manga. And again, Bara is basically picture two Freddie Mercury's making out with each other, and you have a good idea of what it is.
That's actually pretty hot, because it's Freddie Mercury.
Don't stop me now, I'm having such a good time. Not reading this fic.
Okay, anyway.
I don't think it's odd. Well, a few of our villages have funny names too, you know. And what's funny is, most of us keep using the kanji ya as an 8. And ya an old hag, Yoshiki chuckled.
A joke that gets lost in translation, and this guy knows barely a word of that language.
And these names aren't funny to the native culture, they're normal. It's only funny to the guy who wonders how they kept the Japan alternate reality game up for so long.
I wonder what he'd think of English names, like... You know, what, do people think English names are funny? If...
There must be.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, there's actually a video online of, I think a bunch of Italians or someone singing in English gibberish. And
I've seen that.
Yes. Moving on. Aha, I wonder if they do mean old hag, Ryo said. Well, that's all for registration. You must get your identification photograph and aura at the village's defense force. Now for your job. Yoshiki takes out a scroll.
If he needs a photo ID made, then registration is continuing.
My, many kinds. No, there's all kinds of jobs listed here. You name it, if you have it. Name it, you have it. Yoshiki browses the list.
If this situation unravels realistically, he would be rejected from all of them for the most bullshit of reasons. Because that's how job searches work. From here to the author's note... Oh, and, From here to the author's note, you can pull the rest of the chapter out of context, not be able to tell it's a Touhou fanfic. Except for maybe the suddenly a Kane. And this is 3 pages if we don't include further riffing, and the author's note at the end.
So let's crank up the speed. Let's see, my body is not as strong as it seems, so I prefer jobs that doesn't require strength and powers, Ryo describes. Most of those jobs aren't full-time, and even if it's full-time, it's dull, like this fanfic. Yoshiki said.
I'm trying to avoid dull jobs just for your convenience, Gappy Stu.
It's okay. What's the full-time one? Ryo asked. This is a job as crime investigator at the village's defense force. It said that they need more intelligent and smarter person to fill the position. There will be an intelligence test first before signing in. No other specifications. You'll take this? Yoshiki asked.
Okay, so no inquiries of previous experience, no need for training, not even a freaking sign of formal education required? Has the author even tried applying for a job before?
No, where do you think he found the time to write this? Or better yet, he has tried, and he wrote this as a wish fulfillment story of actually getting the job he wants. He probably walked into a police thing and said, "Hey, I want to be a crime scene investigator." And they went, "No!" He's like, "I'll show you. I'll write a fic about this."
Kinda like a certain autistic man-child. It happens in the fic. I win. Anyway.
It requires intelligence, at least, so I'm taking it, Ryo replied. Well, if you say so, here, take this pamphlet. You'll go straight to the office to take the test. Yoshiki gives the job pamphlet. Okay, thanks for the help. Who's publishing these pamphlets? Ryo thanked Yoshiki. Not at all, it's my job, though, Yoshiki smiled.
So he just goes straight to the test. I thought there would be more BS bureaucracy than that. Oh wait, he's in the Gappy Stu inner circle, so he gets immediate access to whatever he wants from the man.
Ryo and Kane get out of the room and walked out of the village hall. Well then, let's go to the defense force office and get your identification and your job. So much moving around, yet so little of this matters. Kane asked. Okay, Ryo answered as they entered the DF office.
I'm still recovering from the idea of a human village defense force.
The DF office interior is not so much different from the village hall, unless it's much smaller.
So, is it much smaller?
Dave goes to the receptionist and talks with the officer. Excuse me, I want to make an identification, Ryo asked. Let's see. Go to hallway B, third door on the right, the officer said.
Another original character as a pointless bit character.
Hallway B, friend computer approves.
Dude.
Thank you, said Squeaky the giant mouse with 2 heads. They've entered the set
Which head?
office. What?
Which head?
The left one.
Okay, the one that looks less like Nazrin.
Yes. They've entered the office. They have entered said office. Excuse me, I'm here for identification or something, he greeted. Well, we may begin now, since you're the first person to do so, the officer replied as he prepares the camera. The camera is an old camera that uses strobe with gunpowder, such as latter 1800 cameras.
Suddenly, the writer remembers that this place has been cut off from the rest of civilization for a century and a half.
And yet we're still in a modern-day bureau.
Okay, maybe for that moment.
When you're photograph being taken, you'll feel a little bit of energy force, so please try to hold still, okay? Officer said. Huh?
My thought exactly.
Why? Ryo asked while sitting at the prepared stool. This camera is an outside wall camera modified by Tango and Kappa technology, named the Yin Yang camera. It could take 2 plates of film and 1 shot, while the first plate showing the clean photo, the other photo of your aura. Both used for identification and archive, since nobody shares the same aura.
Exposition, rush it out ASAP.
Yeah, there's a delay, so you gotta sing it first.
Alright.
Aura, let me check my, line. Oh, we have an aura check. Let me check that off the Marty Stu story checklist. The officer explains. Oh, I see now. Flash!
Ah! Savior of the universe!
Oh, you're right. Rio felt a little dizzy after the flash.
Ah! He'll save every one of us! Flash Gordon, I mean, not this puto.
Let's see. The officer takes out the films. Kane, take a look at it too.
Wait, Kane's still there? Since when was she at this office?
She needs to do something. The writer included her in the scene, and he needs to include every character doing something. Oh, Mini Witch, we are still in Chapter 2.
Oh, wow. Okay, continue.
Okay. Let's see. The officer takes out the film. Kane takes... Oh, yeah, okay. Well, not so bad, but your aura is somehow different, the officer said.
Oh, wow, he's the chosen one. Yawn. Hey, if you're truly the chosen one, you would have a tongue with a giddy face that screams gibberish.
Or if he was the chosen one, everyone in Gensokyo would, freaking be alarmed and either kill him or try to save him. That reminds me, I need to get back on work on a certain project soon. Maybe because I'm an outsider, Rio said. An outsider? Oh, then that explains it. Well, that's all then. What's your name? The officer asked. Sakakibar Ryoichi, Rio answered.
Again, why does your foreign character have a Japanese name? That would be something the unnamed officer would question.
How's the kanji for Ichi? The officer asked again.
He would know, or at least assume this. Because he's Japanese. And that's how Japanese language works among Japanese speakers.
1. Okay, this'll be archived. Thank you. The officer put both the photograph into the box.
So Ryo doesn't get a personal copy of his ID. What?
I think the writer forgot about that. It's called a scroll button / rewriting, you dolt! Thank you, officer. By the way, do you know where I could apply for the job as a crime scene investigator? Rio asked. Hey, you want to be an investigator? The officer asked in astonishment.
How could I even trust you with any responsible position to the safety of Gensokyo when you're an outsider and therefore likely an alien saboteur?
Well, yes, why? Rio asked. It's been 4 months since the last investigator being fired because of his lack of intelligence. Just a tip. Consider it again. The test for job is pretty much hard, the officer said.
So there's been a vacant spot for such a necessary occupation for 4 months. How has the village defense force been able to function for the lack of an investigator?
Or the fact they are too stupid to live if the job can be given to just about damn anyone. Well, I've made my decision, though. Thanks for the tip anyway, Rio said.
Pro tip! You can't do this job.
Or maybe he can. He can paint!
Oh, snap.
Up to you, then. Take the east hallway, last door, the officer guides. Thank you, Rio and Kane left the room.
So, apparently in that organization, you can just walk in and ask to be tested with zero suspicion of being doomed to fail. With this kind of policy, the human village would be just a literal slaughterhouse for the yokai.
Chibi Rico is asking, okay, what the hell's going on in this fic? Touhou's about lollies shooting each other in the face. Why is there bureaucracy and beep going on? And Nuclear Falcons talk, okay. And for the dry plates allowed, the candid photography did not come until 1855, and I'm not sure if they're widely exported.
But then again, there is bureaucracy stuff.
Yes. Apparently the writer thinks this is more entertaining than lollies shooting each other in the face. 4 months? No offense, but there aren't any intelligent person enough to fill the position in this village? Rio asked and wonders.
Incoming mighty whitey! Indonesian!
True, the position requires a person with multi-knowledge and high logic level. Most of the villagers here don't have a proper education because there's no school besides the Kamishirasawa Academy. Was established 8 years ago by... Oh, that's Kane speaking. Was established 8 years ago by me, Kane explained.
What about all the magicians? What about the Viola Library? What about a Q? What about the Ministry of Right and Wrong? This is a civilization, not a pack of cannibals, you racist fuck. Pro tip, notice how I use the term fuck properly.
8 years ago? So your ages? Rio asked.
9 years!
It's not polite to ask women their age, Kane replied with a little annoyed tone. Okay, sorry about that, Rio apologized. They've entered the door at the end of the hallways, the officer said. There's a knock first sign on the door. Hello, excuse me, Rio knocked on the door and greeted from outside. Sorry, this is a private office. Only important business is allowed, said a man from inside the office.
Nobody gets to see the wizard! Not nobody, not know how!
But I'm here for a job interview, Rio replied. Why didn't you say so? Please come in. The man asked Rio to come in. You could handle this by yourself, could you? Oh, you can handle this by yourself, could you? Asked Kane before Rio entered the room. Well, I suppose I'll try to handle this, Rio replied.
It's not like I'm a super genius or anything.
Okay then, it's almost time for me to teach at the school. When you're done, you could take an hour, you can take a tour of the village or go straight home, okay? Here's my spare key.
I got the key to Temple Grandin's house! I'm gonna invite all my friends and we're gonna get tanked!
Thanks, Miss Kane. Take care. Rio waves as Kane walks away. Bow, bow, chicka chicka. Oh, yeah. Rio opened the office door, and there was a middle-aged man inside there, sitting by his desk.
I have seen more middle-aged men in this chapter than flying lollies. I thought this was a Touhou fanfic.
And don't forget, he's behind a desk in rural Japan. Again, this is like going to a Kiss concert, watching the Eagles come out on stage, saying their Kiss, and launching into Hotel California. Hello and good morning, young lad. So you're here for the crime scene investigator position and interview and test, he asked. Yeah, I think the job didn't require more than intelligence, so I think I'll try. Rio replied.
Okay, here's a little lesson. Crime scene investigation involves handling all sorts of disgusting things, including, but not limited to, corpses, bodily fluids, trash, feces, rotting food, and the victim's mourning loved ones. You also have to encounter all sorts of mentally unstable people, including the criminals. Did I mention dead bodies? Lots and lots of dead bodies! And you'll have to dissect them, and handle them, and bury or cremate them, and identify them if their face has been blown off, or if they haven't been blown off. Intelligence might get you far, but that's the tip of the iceberg for what it takes to do CSI.
Stevo, do you realize you just made this comment to somebody who's writing a Touhou fic?
No, I didn't.
If so, please sit down. I'll see if you're the right person to fill this position, he said as he asked Rio to sit down and take the book from underneath the table.
Beta reading! Beta reading! Get someone to do it in private so we don't have to do this and make you look like an ass in public.
Stevo said, using words of the English language to explain that the writer needs a beta reader. Here, please fill these questions as it is. After that, I'll consider whether you are who I'm looking for or not, the man said as Rio the book and a brush with its ink. Well, giving Rio the book and a brush with its ink. Okay. Rio receives the book and brush, then he starts working in it. When he opened the book, he astonished.
When they open up this book, they're sucked inside instead to the most unpleasant place they've ever seen. The Marty Stu fanfic through you, Karin. Very boring and boring. Someone that's not Gensokyo. Marty Stu fanfic through you, Karin.
The questions and problems are only simple logic questions and mathematical problems. I won't tell you what they are, but just take my word for it. He starts working on it. Some are simple equations in algebra. As he keeps working on at quite remarkable speed, the problems become harder as algorithm and even geometries in simple physics.
I know calculus through AP courses in high school and quantum physics as a hobby. This is child's play to the educational ass whoopings I endured in college. Also, this sounds more like an ACT than a forensics licensing exam. I became an insurance agent a month ago. Actually, now it's a month and a half. And the only stuff I learned in public school that helped me was multiplication. The rest for that exam was stuff I had to cram in a 2-week course designed specifically for that exam. I have a feeling that a crime scene investigator would have a test that pertains to crime scene investigation, and not a high school general knowledge test.
He'd keep doing it until he finished the last page. "I'm done, sir," Rio said. Already? That's barely an hour," the man said in astonishment.
That's what she said.
"Finished only an hour? He's the chosen one!" The man takes the book and starts reading Rio's answers, page by page, his expressions more and more astonished and surprised.
Do 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 do. Brrrr. Well, speaking of which, I wonder if he drew Kogaza hentai all over the test, each page becoming more and more sextacular.
"Worship his chosenness!" As he closes the book, he stares deep into Rio's eyes.
Rio, I love you, said the middle-aged man to the teenage boy.
"Young man," he said. "Yes," Rio replied. "You know, even until my age, I've never seen an answers like you've written," he said.
There's no kanji. How do you function without knowing kanji?
"Look, this algorithm, algebra, even geometry, and complicated physics problems, even the logic and daily problems answers are simply unique and unusual."
Yes, these answers prove that you're completely batshit insane. You're hired.
He commented as he browsed through the pages again.
For those of you who don't know, an algorithm is simply a method of solving a problem or calculating a conclusion. Rio is just using a big fancy word he's barely familiar with, and he's barely familiar with English overall, so he really should stick to small clouds.
"So, what's your name?" he asked.
Sorry. I'll try it again. Satriolak Pramant! I mean, Weeaboo Kuso Chin.
"Ryoichi, Sakakibara Ryoichi," Rio answered. "Well, Sakakibara-san, maybe my final answers will surprise you."
But it won't surprise any of us readers or listeners.
Assuming they trudge through this steaming pile this far. He puts the book and stares to Rio's eyes again. "Welcome to the Gensokyo Human Village Defense Force Human Unit."
Wait, isn't the Defense Force completely human and based in the human village? Why are there human units for an all-human organization? My head hurts again. Boost time.
Rio's face shows cheerful. "Thank you very much, sir." He stands and bows deeply to the man. Yes, good. From now on, we're acquaintances. Call me Nakamura Hisashi. I'm a high-ranking officer, which is same as you. Looking forward to work with you, Sakakibara," he said. "Yes, Nakamura-san," Rio bows again.
I'm a highly respected member of the law enforcement, and you're an outsider we barely know. Let's be friends. How does Gensokyo still exist?
Luckily, this is not the Gensokyo we know and of.
This isn't the Gensokyo we're looking for.
Well, you will begin work tomorrow, and for the uniform, we don't have uniforms, just badges that will be given to you tomorrow, but the color of your clothes must be black and red accessories, Nakamura explains.
We're the Gothic police, fighting against stupid preps who want to flam our story about Vampire Potter. 1111.
Friend computer approves. I'll note then. Well, see you tomorrow at work, Nakamura-san. Ryo said as he opens the door to exit the office. Well, see you too, Sakakibara-san, Nakamura replies. Ryo exits the DF office. It's already 10 o'clock as he looks at his phone.
Today, Ryo here woke up, became one of the most important people in the human village, and had beautiful sex with Raisin. And it's not even lunch yet.
Well, nothing to do, so maybe I'll go around the village a bit more, Ryo whims.
Ryo's been whimming this whole time.
Ryo Sakakibara, man of in action. He walks to a random road as he reads a sign that says Dragon Statue Park. Oh wait, it's in quotes again. The Dragon Statue Park looks interesting. Again, the sign says the Dragon Statue Park looks interesting. Ryo walks to the said place. Few minutes after crowded streets, he saw something like a big dragon sculpture at the large grass park. Well, a nice statue it is. It sure is important to the plot, just like this scene. Ryo compliments. He sits on the bench under a tree. He could feel the spring breeze on his face as he slowly closes his eyes and fell asleep.
Wait, Dragon Statue Park? Ain't in no Gensokyo I ever heard of. And we end on a new day, night, what have you. But we end like how Dante fell asleep while riding to Limbo. My main complaint, mind that main, I've had a bunch of other complaints, 3 chapters and 7.5 words, and we have no inciting incident yet. Nothing but establishing our Gappy Stu as the new big man in Gensokyo. I do not care what happens to this character, because I highly speculate that nothing unfortunate will happen to him. I yawn.
Warning to writers. When people say, I don't care what happens, your story is dead. Get to the point as soon as possible, and don't be afraid of letting your characters have flaws. For example, if I wanted to use the same premise, I'd do this. Ryo is the newest member of a Gensokyo human village defense team. He's bad at writing kanji and he easily gets lost in thought, but his only saving grace is that he's good at math. And I'd actually be good at the math first before I actually said he was good at math, which he then uses to save the day when everyone else's brute force doesn't work. Now I just made this idea off the top of my head, and in the 36 words that I've written this idea in, it's more compelling than the 7,500 words this guy has written so far.
Whoo-wah. Oh, and we get an author's note.
Let's see. Hello, Ryo Abstract here. Thanks for reading Lost in Gensokyo. If you wonder why the prologue and first chapter is quite different in length and fill in, because there was a 5-month gap since I started to write this story. So maybe you'll get the story's feeling starting the second chapter.
Pretty much your character being graced with all sorts of praise and promotion from the locals. I don't care if he's actually Indonesian, he's a mighty whitey.
Suspense? Yeah, I'm planning to put in a suspense and mystery flavor in the next chapter.
From your track record so far, you couldn't write suspense if it were about the Golden Gate Bridge.
You should have been using mystery and suspense from the get-go. It would have been reading this infinitely more entertaining. In fact, like a bazillion, even the commercial writing teachers say, suspense, suspense, suspense. Have it on every single page, every single sentence.
Well then, please enjoy the story, and please review to help make this story better.
Done.
And done.
And excuse my bad grammar, because I'm not perfect in English, smiley face.
Nope. Sorry, that was me going nope.avi again. There's quite a bit more wrong with this fic than the bad spelling and grammar. Sadly, considering the current state of affairs in fanfics, a relatively good fanfic only needs proper spelling and grammar.
So, for the love of bacon, get an editor. And not just a grammar editor, but a story editor. Or better yet, get a story tutor. If I were to cut the scenes that weren't necessary, this fic would be 1/10 of its size. As I mentioned earlier, don't show the scene where nothing happens!
Well, this would be where the fic ended, but we have 2 more chapters of this.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. And we're not even halfway done.
And he's just gotten a freaking job. And join us for the next video, which I will stop recording so we can take a quick break and then move on to the next chapter when we get a title change.
Oh, wonderful.
All right.
All right. See you then.
Break time.
Break time.
Break time.